And welcome to the Everyday Board Game Podcast with your host, Daniel.
And Daniel.
Daniel, good afternoon, sir.
How's it going?
Good. Most of the times I come over here and I'm hyped up, ready to go. We're filming on a Tuesday, and I've had 2 days of work, and I'm exhausted right now from work.
I bet.
I've been putting in a bunch of extra hours, and on top of it, I've been watching that show, Better Call Saul.
Yeah, and one of the last episodes was last night, right?
Right, exactly. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to give anything close to spoilers right now. But we started watching it on Amazon, and me and my wife were sitting there, lying in our bed, watching the episode, made it 20 minutes in, and she started falling asleep. So she was like, I'm sorry, I can't. So I had to go to bed, not knowing what was happening. And the title of this episode is very, very much like hinting at like a major event that happens in the story. So I was stressed out so much today, having lost sleep over that. And then on top of that, I don't tend to get sleep when I'm thinking about like game designs. And I told you, and I showed you an example. I actually came up with the design last night, and I'm like, wait a minute, I bet this would work. And so both of those things were on my mind when I went to bed already way too late. Oh, I'm tired. I'm tired today.
It's funny that you mentioned that. Last week when we had our game night, you and our mutual friend Dom left around 11-ish because both of you had to go to work. My other buddy, his Thursday was his day off, so he's like, hey, well, we'll stay a while, we'll play some more games, which we'll talk to you about in a little bit. He didn't leave till 2 o'clock. And I was up at 7:30 the next day, and I realized I am... at this point, I'm a few weeks away from 38.
Yeah.
I'm 2 years away from 40. I can't do those long nights anymore. I felt like I was hungover.
Yeah.
Not only because I have bad glasses right now, so it's straining my eyes and giving me headaches from time to time. And then I stayed up and I was sleep deprived, so it just felt like, what is going on? My wife was teasing me the entire day. She's like, yeah, you can't hang anymore. I'm
right?
like,
no way.
Not.
Dude, I got you beat because I took my wife out this last Friday. I didn't even have my normal game group, so I'm going to have to be picking the bottom of the barrel of games I talk about that I've been playing lately. So I haven't been playing much. But on top of that, I took her out, and she wanted to go bar hopping with some of her friends. Well... I was the designated driver because I don't drink.
Yeah, you're a teetotaler.
Yeah, I brought her out, had fun. She had a blast. That's all that matters. And I woke up, and I think out of all of us that went out, I was the only one with a hangover. I felt awful. I woke up with a headache. I was like, I'm tired. I'm dehydrated. Like, I was drinking plenty of water the whole night. And then I was like, how are you feeling? She's like, oh, I feel fine. It happens every time.
What I find interesting about this is there's a place that it's called a barcade out here that you can go and play arcade games, and that's where you went to go drinking.
That's right.
It's because it's the Dance Dance Revolution. That's why you're hungover.
That might be why. So hear this. I played Dance Dance Revolution while a DJ was playing. So he was blasting music, and I mean loud. I couldn't hear the music from the machine. So I had to play. I played 7-foot songs, which is not nothing, right?
Yeah.
That's a heavy.
I never played it.
Yeah, well, it's 1 to 10 is the highest scale, and I used to be able to play pretty consistently at 10, but they're still really tough. Yeah, I was playing 7-foot, so about 70% of the possible difficulty.
Yeah.
And I had to go entirely. No, I didn't play Max 300, although I thought about it. I played the entirety, having to memorize and play the song in my head. And focusing, because there were a number of parts where the music that was playing was synchronizing almost to the music. Just enough where it was that much more difficult. And I'm guessing Illuminous, you probably played DDR if you know what Max 300, but yes. No, I ended up playing, I know one of them was Wild Rush. That was the 6-foot one. R3, and then one other. But, yeah, oh my god, that was tough. But I did it. And on top of that, the DJ was Stacy's cousin, so... I got to see one of her cousins, had a fun time.
But then again, your wife has a lot of cousins.
True.
So,
yeah. But this is one that most people know about. That's the big thing.
Okay, but it's like most people meet said cousins and didn't realize they're related to your wife.
Uh-huh.
So,
half of this town, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's quite funny. You're like, oh no, that's Stacy's cousin.
Right.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, so overall, like, I didn't play many games, but, I will talk about the few that I did play.
So it's kind of like you had, like, a family gathering one time, and you were telling me there was, like, over 100 people, and most of them were family.
Yeah. Well, when we had our wedding, it was 7 years ago, my wife explicitly said, I want this to be a smaller wedding. We're only gonna invite some friends and close family. So she limited it to just first cousins. We had nearly 100 people. And that was just that. That was our small wedding. Can you imagine a big wedding?
Yeah.
We would have had rent out of Walmart or the mall or something.
Yeah, so like with my wedding, mine technically was a small wedding. I think at most we had 20 people. Most of them were family. A few of them were friends.
Yeah.
And so I think we only had like 25, maybe 30 people.
Yeah. You know what I should have done? Get married in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Make people fly 2,000 miles just to get there. That would have shrunk down the list a bit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
All right, before we get into what we've been playing, I got some interesting news today. I was just watching a random news show. Philip DeFranco, if you're familiar with it, on YouTube.
Yeah, I don't like the guy, but yeah, go on.
But
I'm sorry. I don't know what it is. He rode me the wrong way.
He made a quick news bit about hobby gaming.
Oh,
it's
okay.
practically
Maybe I don't hate the guy.
double in sales, and he actually brought up one of the games he's been playing a lot lately is Sherlock Consulting Agency.
Interesting. Spiel des Jahres winner from the 80s?
Yeah, and he's been playing it with his wife. Well, it's the newer one.
Well, right. It's a remake, but it's essentially
he's like, and I've been enjoying it, and so he's like telling people in the comments to talk about their games. I'm like, I was tempted, but mind you, I was watching it on my TV. Yeah. But he was making a mention about it, like the hobby gaming from 2019 to 2021 has almost doubled in sales.
Right.
It is at, I think, 2.29 billion as of 2021. Ooh.
Wow, no kidding.
So yeah, it is crazy powerful right now.
Wow, that's impressive to say the least. Then Illuminous brought up a good point. Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, that actually would be a really great one for a road trip.
Yeah, no.
I've never thought of that before, but I think that would actually be really fantastic for it. Solving a mystery while driving.
Speaking of a game that could do well for an app integration.
Oh, wow.
Too bad I didn't think about it earlier.
Let's fix my list. No, that's a solid one.
Yeah.
Good job, Illuminous.
Yeah,
I completely agree.
All right, so as mentioned earlier, this list is going to be games that we believe could do better with an app integration.
That's right.
Illuminous mentioned earlier, Mansions of Madness, second edition, actually became a better game because of that app integration.
Right. Yeah, a lot of the upkeep got taken out. A lot of the stuff that would normally be handled with multiple cards or books of scenarios, that was all taken out. You and I have said this before in the podcast. We don't mind app integration.
No,
in fact, more often than not, if an app was taken care of, I don't think a lot of people realize how much work it is to make an app, first off.
Yeah.
But even if they do realize that, they'll know, like, publishers aren't going to take the time and money to build something that uses an app if it's not worthwhile. And so, because that's a lot of time, it's a lot of money, and it can go south really easily. But it almost always helps. And so the games, we had trouble on this list. We were just discussing this earlier, that a lot of the games that I thought of would be great with app integration already has an app integration.
Yeah.
Or if it wouldn't benefit, then why would there be an app for it in the first place, right? No, I personally did not go with any games that already have like a pretty established app for it.
Yeah.
Like fan made stuff like that.
Like Gloomhaven for me, I didn't put it on my list because I was thinking about Gloomhaven, and Illuminous mentioned the Kingdom Death Monster app integration makes bookkeeping so much better.
Right.
The Gloomhaven Helper app does a lot of that. So the cleanup and setup for the monsters, you just put in the scenario that you're doing. Loads it all up in there. You just put the numbers that you need for each monster. Right. It runs the health. It reminds you that they're shielded, or if when they're attacking they have piercing and stuff like that.
Yeah, exactly.
So it just makes cleanup and keeping up so much easier because I don't have to worry about the cards. Yeah. I don't have to worry about certain tokens to go on certain ones because this one's poisoned or this one's stunned. Yep. I can just look at the app and be like, okay, that's number 6. That one's stunned.
Yeah, exactly. No, see that. And I didn't look to see if there was any apps for these, but I don't believe that there is. But one of them that came to mind was Dominion, and just to pick random decks of cards or random packs.
Yeah, random generator.
Like that would be easy, and I'm sure there's already one.
Smash Up does it too.
Yeah,
for
Smash
that.
Up. Yeah, it's like stuff like that is. But I also wanted to use specifically not so much for setup. I mean, there is one in here that is more so for setup than not, but more like what parts of the game you could take out and instead have an app.
Yeah, so I kind of went with that route. There's certain things that, again, a lot of my list is I don't know how you would app integrate it. I just think this game would do something better with the app integration. But before we get into our list, what have you been playing?
Oh, so yeah, I've been playing some games lately, and I wanted to talk about this. Like I said, I'm going to go back for about a month now. So I realized I never really talked about this game, but I finally got Terraforming Mars Ares Expedition to the table. Card game version of a card game, Terraforming Mars. I don't care what anyone says. They're both card games.
They're both card games. Just the only reason you need the board for Terraforming Mars is just because you need a visual effect of what you're doing.
Yeah, and honestly, there's a board in Ares Expedition too.
Yeah, but it's mainly just putting the water tiles out
there. Yeah, exactly. That's all it is. So I have played San Juan, I've played Race for the Galaxy, and I played a lot of those like simultaneously.
The card play game versus the big game.
Right, exactly. Well, I mean, like even that it's based off of like Race for the Galaxy, and so because that's a lot of like everyone chooses the action. Everyone gets the actions that are listed, except whatever one you choose, you get the bonus for it. That's exactly the same for San Juan or Race for the Galaxy. Both of which I did like. I ended up getting rid of my copy of Race for the Galaxy because too much iconography. I didn't like it. It was okay.
I haven't played it, but I've seen the cards.
Right. Oof. We ended up playing it. I think it took us about 2.5, 3 hours to play, which is honestly too long for it, but I feel like if we're comfortable,
faster, but it was 3 new players, right?
Yeah, 3 new players. Well, no, 4 new players, including myself, because I had never played it before. But I felt pretty comfortable with it. I feel like everyone in the group did genuinely like it, and I think I tend to base it around our friend Jim. He kind of put it perfectly. He was like, I enjoyed the game. I had a lot of fun. I don't think I'm ever playing it again. And I don't blame him for that. I liked it. I personally would play it again.
Question though, before you get onto this, the fourth player in that list is the same one that played the 4-player Terraforming Mars.
Well, no, no.
Because we brute forced it just to make sure.
Yeah, no, it wasn't that. No, we were playing with a few others, and but no, I mean like everyone, like we didn't. It didn't seem like anyone's turn took specifically long. We're all just learning the game and how it works, and once they got the idea of it, I thought it was like it functioned pretty well, and it had some fun stuff, and there were some good moments. But yeah, again, it's like it kind of coins itself as like hey, I'm like this small, sensible, like little gateway card game, and you're like, no, you're still playing a few hours.
Yeah, what I liked about that one, I have played Terraforming Mars, is it has like the follow the leader mechanic. So everybody gets to do, like, say the person who's playing the card, everybody gets to do what he is. So if they're playing the number 1, everybody gets to do the number 1, and then the leaders or whoever played the number 1 cards also can do bonus action because they're the leaders. But so it's like, oh, I really need to play this, but is someone else going to play it because I can do this or do it with a bonus? Because if both players are playing number 1, then that means there's only going to be 2 other cards possibly played. So there's not everything that you can do. But I enjoyed it, but also I only played 2 players.
I also prefer Ares Expedition over Terraforming Mars.
See, I'm more of a Terraforming Mars over Ares Expedition. I love the building the board and brute forcing and getting everything done. And in fact, it does still play almost slightly lighter than Terraforming Mars, but it still plays long. So if I'm going to play one of the longer, one of the 2, I'm going to play the
you want to justify it.
Yeah,
that's fair. I don't blame you. And then Illuminous says did not like Ares Expedition, and drop mix was a thing that came up on my list for app integration, which is definitely needed.
So my first game that I'm going to talk about that I played...
Oh, yeah, Daniel. What have you been playing?
is... I guess I'll get the one that's oldest that is further back when I played it, but I already explained it to you when I played it, and this is the new Corey Konetsky game from Unexpected Games. This is Voices in My Head. I liked it. I liked it a lot. It's actually somewhat simple in aspect. It's kind of an area control game because you're trying to control a certain point or a certain part of the body for guys. So it's kind of one versus many, kind of not, because the prosecutor is not playing guy. You're the person trying to get him convicted, because it's based on a trial, and everybody has their hidden role other than the prosecutor, and the prosecutor's driving it. So they're picking from 3 cards, and they slide it under their screen, and so everybody can see the 2 things that are probably or are going to trigger on the thing. And so the goal of the prosecutor is to get more convictions than innocence. You do that, you win the game. But everybody else has a hidden role, and some of them need to have more innocence than guilty, but they need to have at minimum like 2 guilty and 3 innocent or something like that. And another person needs to have it where it's 2 and 2, and another person needs to have it where they have to be, like I said, more guilty than innocent. I think that one was like a 3-2 ratio. Mm-hmm. And so as a prosecutor and you're seeing all this, you're like, okay, maybe I want to work with them because they want more guilty than innocent. Because everybody knows in the first game, everybody knows what everybody's goal is, because you take the 4 cards, you read out loud what their goal is, mm-hmm. then you shuffle them up. Whoever gets the prosecutor has to reveal themselves. They take all the prosecutor stuffs. Mm-hmm. And then everybody picks their player color, and then we go.
Yeah.
And so we just...
Awesome.
And we just play, basically, so what's going to happen, everybody takes a turn in a row, and including the prosecutor. And prosecutor doesn't worry about area control, in a sense. If you're trying to rig certain things for area control, because what happens is you get your player piece and you put it on the thing, and then you slide it to the location you're going to. You can't flick it. You have to slide it purposely, but you can angle it and slide it, and then you put your little player piece that helps you move it mm-hmm. to straighten on the thing. And so what you're doing is you're trying to push things off the area. Taking them off the area becomes destroyed. There are some ways that you can get it back by card plays and stuff like that. But so if you know someone that after a few rounds, I think I know which one is working with me to get him more guilty than everything, maybe I want them to trigger these things, because then they could switch things up there, because not only are the guilty and innocent tokens are on the jurors, there's also hidden tokens that could either be innocent or guilty or thought, and you got to reveal them one at a time. And then when you go into the final round, they each eliminate each other. So if there's 3 guilty and 2 innocents, so you just take all the ones that cancel each other out, and that just leaves 1 guilty token. And that's what those jurors think is going to happen. And so it just keeps going round and round. And you play in 8 rounds. You have 2 different trial phases. You play the 4 rounds as trial 1. You play front and back of the cards. And sometimes they'll say the person who does this, they can do that. So they'll say, like, whoever controls motor skills can take 3 of the tokens I was telling you about. That could be either one. Look at them. Put one on this the judgmental juror, and then discard the other one's face down in the discard spot. So no one knows what got put there.
Right.
And so it's just interesting. You're trying to play that area control. Whoever owns the thought are the only ones that can draw up cards. If there's a tiebreaker, whoever is the first player determines ties. So again, if I'm the prosecutor and I'm the first player, and I think I kind of narrowed in who I think is the ones trying to help me, mm-hmm. maybe I'm going to let them draw the cards, because it's very interesting what it's doing. I really, really enjoyed this one.
I definitely want to try this one. This one is the most intriguing out of all of the... I mean, of course, out of the both, I've played partway through the initiative, and then the new one does look interesting, but this one alone...
Yeah, it is quite fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad it's in my collection. I don't think I'm going to ever get rid of it, because it's interesting what it does. And then there's abilities if you play the advanced one. So depending on the token that you put out there. So the area control, there's numbers like 3, 2, 1, mm-hmm. and whoever controls the most controls that skill.
Right.
But then you have emotions for the ability. So if you play a certain emotion, you get a certain thing that you can do, but it's only for advanced play. So when you're playing it the first time, they don't recommend you playing that. And then you also have, remember how I was telling you everybody has their own cards? When you play the advanced mode, you actually have more powerful cards that are coming up. So you're playing different types of emotions instead of like guilt or... there's the doubtful and stuff like that. So it's quite interesting. It's pretty cool. I liked it.
That's good. Cool. It's on my radar. You need to bust it out one of these weeks. The next game I've been playing, it was my daughter's birthday yesterday. So on Sunday I went over to my mother's, brought the family. We had a nice dinner, played some games. We played Forbidden Bridge, which was fun. That was That was shenanigans, and my
Two
mom.
30, mid-30 guys playing Forbidden Bridge that one night, just
Giggling. Yep, and giggling up a storm. No, my mom ended up quitting because she got knocked off the bridge like 3 times. She's like, all right, that's it. I'm done. Like, this is stupid. I'm like, yeah, it is, but that's why it's kind of funny. And mine, I got lucky because I got a gem put in the backpack, fell off the bridge, landed on the ground. Gem never went in. It's still in the backpack. So I got to jump right over to the boat. Nice and easy.
Nice, but that's not the game you're picking.
That's not the game I'm picking. The other game we played was Munchkin. And it was my daughter's first time playing Munchkin. My wife hadn't played in a really long time. It was my son's request, so I was like, all right, let's sit down and play it.
I would expect your son to play that one.
Yeah, he loves the backstabbiness of it. But what we ended up playing was the short mode, which, have you ever played short mode?
No, I have not.
Everyone starts at level 5.
Okay, that's not
simple.
bad.
Yeah, easy fix. Or easy setup. Everyone starts at level 5, makes beating monsters a little easier, makes the game last a little or quite a bit shorter. Munchkin games can last anywhere from like an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that, depending on who you're playing with. We ended up playing for 30 minutes. We played 3 rounds each. That was it.
That's not bad at all.
No, and it was fine. My daughter ended up winning. It was by chance, and I felt bad because she was poised to win on her second turn because she had gained so many levels, and she was like, "Yay, I'm about to beat this monster," and we're like, "Okay, we're gonna make it ancient +10," and then my son was like, "All right, we're gonna add +10 to it," and he was like, "I'm gonna add +2," and I was like, "Yeah, I'll throw a mate, so we're gonna double that, so you have to get 30," and she was like, and she started like almost like tearing up. I'm like, no, that's the point of the game. Like, don't get mad. Like, as soon as mommy and Aiden and myself, as soon as we're all at that point, I expect you to play the bad cards on us. The person who wins is whoever doesn't have enough bad cards.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, that's really what it boils down to. So I was like, don't get mad. And then next time I came around to her, she ended up winning anyway.
Because you played all your cards on the last one.
Yeah, because we all played our cards on the last one. And yeah, it was pretty great. It was good, silly fun. Didn't outstay its welcome. It's hard to play it from level 1.
I'll have to do it with the short list. I didn't know about that. I still have a copy of Munchkin. I have Legends. That's the one I enjoy the most.
That's my favorite too.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's a really easy fix. Just put everyone on level 5 instead of level 1.
Yeah.
And just say, go for it.
Yeah, no, that actually sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
May have to try it one of these days.
Nice and quick. It gives you some backstabbiness, but it's really not. It doesn't outstay its welcome as bad.
That's cool. The next game on my list that I want to talk about is the one that we played last week that was very long. Took us a lot to figure it out. And I still don't know how I feel about it. I enjoy it, but I don't know if it's my favorite thing. But I just got the notification that my big box and expansions are coming.
Right.
This one is Viscounts of the West Kingdom. I liked what it was doing. It's interesting what it's doing. It's a deck builder that is basically, it's a roll and move without the rolling. It's your deck builder allows you to move certain points. Anything from the top, you get to build one of your buildings out if you have the resource for it, or you can gain the resources based on how many. We call them recycle bags. I think it's good bags or something like that.
Trade goods.
Yeah, trade goods. And so I enjoyed what it did. And then the bottom row, you can go into the little area control part of the castle, and that took us a little bit to figure out how that worked. I want to play it again with the proper rules. Mind you, it's been a while. It's been about a year or two when you last played it, and our mutual friend that was showing us it. And me and the other friend never played this one before. So I want to play it again just to see how I really feel about it with everything, how I got all the kinks out. But yeah, it was a bit long. I still think I like Paladins of the West Kingdom more.
Yes.
How crunchy that one is. And don't get me wrong, Paladins of the West Kingdom is a brain burner more so than Viscounts is.
Yep.
And Architects of the West Kingdom. Those are nowhere near as thinky as Paladins is. But I don't know, I just felt like Paladins was a little simpler than Viscounts was. Mind you, I do have to get it to the table again as well, but I didn't mind it. I would probably say this is my least favorite of the three, but like I said, I have to play it one more time just to really get the feel of what I like about it or not. Yeah. But all in all, it wasn't bad. It'd probably stay in my my collection for a while. If I had to get rid of one, it would probably be this one.
Yeah.
But I'm going to see how the expansions work and see what's going on there. But all in all, it wasn't bad. I liked it better than maybe Architects. I don't know yet because I really like Architects.
Right.
But again, it's kind of like,
right.
It's wavering, I guess you could say. I did like it a little bit better than Raiders of the North Sea.
Yeah, that's fair. Out of all of the, what is this, West Kingdom?
Yeah, this is the West Kingdom one.
West Kingdom's trilogy. This is easily my middle one.
Yeah, I know it is because you can't stand Architects.
Because I can't stand Architects, and then the other one, Paladins, is interesting.
And then the only one I haven't played the rest of the
North Sea
one, so I didn't play Shipwrights and I didn't play. I think it's Explorers of the North Sea.
Right.
And I don't even own Raiders of the North Sea. I have Raiders of Scythia because they kind of streamline certain things.
Right.
I do need to get that one played just to see the differences. But
yeah.
All in all, I really enjoy most of the Shimfield games I played. I don't think I've hated a single one.
Have you played Noctilica yet?
I have not played Noctilica, and I haven't played Circadia First Lights. I think those are also his.
Yeah.
But I am also looking forward to what is it, the of Euphrates? It's like the East Kingdoms or something like that.
Yeah.
I forget what they're called, like the Eastern Wonders of the Euphrates, or
yeah.
So that should be coming soon.
It feels weird to me that they declared, they're like, yeah, we're gonna have trilogies of games, but each trilogy is a cardinal direction. It's like, so you're declaring you're making 12 games, like,
and he's doing it.
I mean, he's doing it. Here's my problem with Shem Phillips.
Wayfarers of the South Tigris, so we're doing the South
Tigris. Yeah. Here's my problem with Shem Phillips, and don't get me wrong, I like his stuff. It's pretty good, most of it. Some of his things just seem. It's not nearly as bad as like David Turksey. He's the big offender on this. Is that some of the stuff just seems like it's in there just to be in there. Like it's a cool idea, but it doesn't add to the experience of the game, and it's yet another thing you have to remember. Like the tower, that first level. Oh, if there's a group of 3, one spreads one way, one spreads the other way.
But only for the bottom rung.
But only for the bottom rung, and then the middle rung. If you have 3, then only you jump up one, and then the center can hold as many as you want.
Because that becomes an area control in the center.
Right, and that's a cool little mechanism, but at the same time, it's like, but is this really...
And then the big thing,
does it benefit from it?
The cards, like whoever controls the center, you get a special ability. Right. And then whoever has 3 blues, you get a special ability. And so it's just like, there's so much to remember with it.
Yeah, exactly, and it's not like super, super simple. I mean, yeah, Raiders was probably my favorite of the North Sea. And
have you played the others? Yeah, by default, it's my favorite of the North Sea trilogy.
That's true. It's my favorite.
I never played the others.
I'm saying out of all of the...
all of the Shem Phillips. So you're talking about all the Cardinal games.
All of the Cardinal games, yes. Exactly, because Noctilica is my favorite from him.
Okay.
Because it's a really smart little abstract game.
I don't know. I like North Sea or Raiders of the North Sea, but I really, really enjoy Paladins.
Yeah, Paladins is cool.
If I had to get rid of all the Shimfield games I had and have to only keep one, it would be Paladins, hands down.
Yeah. Yep. I don't disagree with you on that. Yeah. If you were forced to get rid of all but one, that should be the one you keep. And I agree with you. I would strongly encourage.
And that's saying something because I also have Raiders of Scythia, so that's
right. That's true. So this week at our local board game night, this group wanted these 2 guys, a father and son. They're fairly regulars there, really great people. They came in wanting to play a game that I knew doesn't work very well with 2 players. So I sat down with them. It was really nice and slow at the time. So I was like, all right, I'll sit with you and I'll play it with you. You know. So and it's not that often I sit down and play a game during our game night. You know, sometimes we'll have really busy and I just can't sit down at all.
Sometimes you'll have like 30 people.
Yeah, exactly. And there's like not even room to sit even if I wanted to.
Yeah.
So I ended up playing a game that I don't personally care for that much, but it's been a long time since I played it. That's 7 Wonders.
Oh yeah, it's a good thing you sat down and played with them. So
yeah, because the 2 players just like, and I told them, I was like, it's like it says 2 player, it's not a 2-player game.
The new prints of 7 Wonders do not include 2-player.
Right, exactly.
3 to 7, I think it is.
Yep, 3 to 7, and so I played 7 Wonders, and just by teaching them how to play. And the faces that they were giving as I was explaining this stuff, I know it wasn't just my explanation. It was the fact that that game coins itself as a very simple game, yet it is incredibly convoluted at the same time. Because and no, we didn't do Duel just because I don't think we have a demo copy of it, but we did Seven Wonders. But the problem was they wanted to see what it was about because they had heard about it. We played it. They mostly understood it by the end of the game, and they weren't complaining too much. But the timing is weird on it. Like, oh, well, I can play a card, or I can discard it for 3 coins, or I can use it as a wonder, but it's not technically discarding it, it's just putting it there.
Also, I pay you for the resource.
Yeah, it's like, oh, well, you make the resource, so I'll give you 2 coins, but then I'm also going to I can get a card that'll give it a discount, but then I might not need it because this card automatically upgrades to this one, and then what if I have one that upgrades to 2 different ones? Do I have to choose both? Like, and then the sciences score in weird sets, I just forgot how, like, needlessly convoluted it is. Like, and because, it's supposed to be this grandiose, fantastical, like, great concept of a game. I love that theme. It's one of my favorite themes in board games is the Seven Wonders. And they took it, and they're like, hey, let's make a really simple drafting game, and let's make that one of the most complicated drafting games. And I'm not saying it's complicated. I don't want to sound like that. But it's just, that was a great reminder why I'm not a fan of that game anymore.
Well, the thing is, for me, with it, when it comes to Seven Wonders, is that a lot of people call it a welcoming game. I wouldn't call it that. I think it's Seven Wonders Architect is more welcoming than Seven Wonders.
Hands down.
Because there's so much going...
You have Architects, okay.
There's so much going on with it.
Yeah.
Because you not only play in the draft, but you might have to buy resources from your neighbors.
Right.
You have, like, a lot of iconography that's going on. Not hard enough, and the drafting is fine to that, but it's so... overbearing, especially for like people coming into the hobby. Like Ticket to Ride, I will call that more.
Absolutely,
because it's so simple. It's basically rummy with trains.
Yeah,
but Seven Wonders is not a gateway game. It's something that I would use as like a next step kind of game.
Yes.
So okay, you like this? Let's go to this. This will do a lot of that. There, if you want a little bit next level.
Right.
But Seven Wonders Architects, that is the welcoming game. That is the gateway game, whatever you want to call it, compared to Seven Wonders. I still do not know why people call that one a gateway game.
No, and I strongly believe that it is not.
Honestly, it does play fast. I remember one time, this was years ago, we played a 3-player game because a buddy got a copy and he just wanted to get played. Yeah. You, me, and him, Gamehead Geek.
20 minutes, maybe.
We played 20 minutes. It's like boom, 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 scored up, done.
Yeah.
We didn't talk the entire 20 minutes, really.
Yeah, but we also all knew how to do it, too.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Is fair.
So it is a quick game once you know what to do.
Yes. Yeah, and it's fine for what it is. Like, again, I don't want it to sound like I think it's complex, because it's not. It's just unnecessarily convoluted.
Yes.
It's not difficult to learn. It's just, it's honestly, unnecessary for a lot of the stuff it's doing.
Honestly, I wouldn't say it's complex. But if you're integrating new gamers or bringing people off the street and you show them that might scare off people. Right. Because, again, as you said, it's convoluted. There's a lot going on. It needed something to be simplified in it, and they did it with Architects. They did it with Seven Wonders Duel.
Seven Wonders Architects is so much better. Again, every time they come out with a new Seven Wonders game, it replaces the last ones. For me. And as Luma said, I wouldn't teach it as a gateway game. I agree. And then... yeah, then you might as well play Through the Ages. That makes perfect sense. If you want something that people are claiming, oh, this is a gateway game, play Sushi Go.
Yeah,
that's especially a gateway game.
With the drafting.
Yeah, exactly. If you want something that is more of an advanced game, like a Civilization build, Through the Ages.
Through the Ages, Through the Ages, so good.
This is not a good middle ground. It's awkwardly in between those.
Yeah. No.
So yeah, Seven Wonders. That was the next game I played.
Yeah, so moving on to the game night again. Remember I was mentioning that our mutual friend stayed till like 2 o'clock in the morning and I got hungover. This is one of the other games that we played. And this one is one of the newer games out there. He played this on his TikTok Live with other players. Showed it to me at game night, and this is Three Sisters.
Interesting.
It's a roll and write about building gardens and stuff like that, and it has some interesting things with it because it has a rondel aspect to it. So what happens is you're rolling, I think it's like 3 or 4 dice. I can't remember exactly, and then you're putting them in order. And so first is you always plant in one of your gardens. It's 1 through 6. So if I plant the 2, where it's at in the location, I plant my 2 garden, and I can plant 2 items, basically. I can X certain things.
Yeah.
And so I mark off certain areas in my 2 garden. Pumpkins get you goods, which can give you extra stuff going out there. It has an interesting aspect because you have 2 sheets the entire game. You have your garden sheet, and then below your garden, you also have your perennials. And on your other sheet, you have your shed, your apiary, your fruit garden or orchards, and then you have your goods for selling and stuff like that. So there's a lot going on in it. It's not a simple roll and write, but it's not too hard. But like I said, you pick your die, you plant in that garden. You make 2 marks unless you have something from your shed that allows you to make 3 marks in your garden. Right. And then you go into the next phase, and this is where the rondel happens, because whatever is the lowest, or the one that is not used at the back end, the highest number, that's where the gardener is going to go, and that's where you have to start next on the rondel. And so when you take the 2, you do whatever section you take out of. So you can plant again, or water. Water allows you to grow the entire garden. In a sense, you mark above what you've already marked in the garden. So if I do that in my first go around, then I'm not going to grow too much. But if I have multiple plants in 2 and then I water, then I can grow like everything in that one garden. If it rains, you can grow in all your gardens. So there's certain aspects when you have end-around stuff. Sometimes you'll get rain where you can grow everything in your garden.
Oh, okay.
And so you do that over, I think it's like 8 rounds. Whoever has the most points at the end of the game wins. It's a nice little roll and write that I think my wife would actually enjoy. Probably. And so when you're done with your garden, like if you got your pumpkin patches, because they connect through all the gardens, and so your longest, if you have a certain thing in your shed, is what it's called, and I'll explain that in a minute. When you get your shed, you'll get points for everything, the longest streak. I think it's like 2 or 3 points for the longest streak. So if I have a streak of 4, I can get up to 12 points in a sense, because I think it's 3 points per. And so what happens is during the rondel, there's different sections. One of them is you can start marking things in the shed. And so you can do stuff that gives you more points, or the seed spreader, which is the one that will allow you to mark 3 things in a garden rather than 2. Bonus points for certain fruits, cannings, so you can can this fruit. Or you can also mark in the apiary, so it's your honey gathering. So doing that allows you to get more points, and you get to a certain point that splits here. It gives you points here, it can give you bonuses here, it can give you goods over here, and determine how you want to do it. The fruits, there's different fruits that do different things for you. Like I decided to go raspberries, which allowed me to go to goods, because if you get to certain points on the goods, it increases your aspect for the farmer's market, as well as whenever you get to every 5, it gives you an extra mark. So if you get 5, 10, 15, 20, that's 4 or 5 extra marks on the board. Anywhere you want on the board, you just have to keep following lines. I liked it. For a roll and write, it took about like 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. But yeah, it's a really good one. I might pick it up because I think my wife would enjoy it.
That's cool. Yeah, and Luminous brought up that sounds almost like Harvest Dice. I've not played it.
I haven't played Harvest Dice. Yeah, it might be. I'm not exactly sure. My buddy he got a copy because of he's part of a program that gives content creators. Yeah. And so he played a live with 2 other TikTok content creators, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it.
That's cool. All right, the last one that I wanted to talk about was a small little card game from Capstone Games. It's a reprint from like the 90s or maybe 80s even. It's a trick-taking game called Stick'em, where the whole idea is that for those of you, we gave shifty eyes on awkward silence for our audio listeners. The whole idea is that you are trying to get the most points by winning tricks. You get cards for winning tricks, and trying not to get what's called your pain color. At the beginning of every round, you have to set aside one of your cards as a pain color. And basically, at the end of the round, the way scoring works is real simple. Every card you have that is not your pain color is worth 1 point per card. That's it. Flat. Every card that's your pain color is minus X number of points equal to the value on the card.
That's kind of cool. I like that.
It's really messed up. So if you have 8 cards and one of them is a 7 of your pain color, you have 0 points.
So, trick taking?
Trick taking.
Oh, man.
But it's different how it works. The biggest thing,
gotta bring that.
You don't have to follow suit at all.
Oh.
The way it works is very simple. The beginning of the game, you have about 15 cards in your hand.
Mm-hmm.
You set one of those face down as your pain color. Now, here's the thing. They're numbered anywhere from 0 to like 12 or 15, depending on how many players there are.
Uh-huh.
In 3 players, which is what we played, it's 0 through 8. So there's 9 of 5 different colors. Okay? So zeros are a weird exception. So here's the way the trick taking works. Let's say you follow with any number you want, right? Let's say you follow with, or you start with green 5.
Okay.
Okay. If all of them are the same color, whoever played the highest number of that color wins the trick.
Okay.
Okay. That's pretty standard.
Yeah.
However, I don't have to follow suit at all. Doesn't matter. Because if at least one player plays a different color, then it's the highest non-starting color wins. So if you led with that red 5
or green 5,
and I play a red 2, and our mutual friend plays red anything, then I win with green anything. You know, the same color as you.
You win with the red 2.
I win with, by default as having the one that's a different color. And so, but if
what happens is 3 different colors.
And whoever plays the highest number of the non-lead color.
Cool.
So if I played a 6 and the other player played a 5 yellow, for example, I would get it because I played the 6.
Okay.
Now, if the highest player is tied for the non-lead color, then it's whoever played earlier in round takes the cards. So that gives a lot of power to the last person in each round to throw cards at people that they don't want on purpose. But here's the thing. The ones that are worth more negative points might be negative for you, but they're harder to get rid of because they're probably not the same color. Probably. But they might be, but they're probably not.
It's
tricky. It's interesting how it worked. It's hard to get your head wrapped around it. But once you do... And the exception to that, though, however, zeros, regardless of color, can never win a trick. So that's one exception to that. If you led with green and I play like a red 0, doesn't matter if I played a different color. And I'm not considered the highest zeros or nothing. So of course you'd want your pain card that you put face down is gonna be worth negative points. That's you're declaring that. So you want a low value, but you also don't want to put a 0 because zeros are incredibly valuable.
Yep.
So it's a weird little take of like, do I or don't I? I remember my strategy is I looked at my hand and there was one suit on the second round I played it. I had a red 0 and a red 1. So I put the red 1 as my pain color. I was like, I'll take -1 point. That's fine. Because now I have that 0 and those are the only 2 red cards in my hand. Okay. So I was like, I feel like this is a good strategy. It worked pretty well. But like at the same time, it's like, that's a weird concept to consider. I like stuff like that. I always love interesting trick-taking games. I'll be happy to bring it sometime.
Yeah, no, it sounds pretty good.
That's Stick'em by Capstone Games.
All right, so my last game that I played is right behind you. Not exactly behind you. It's right over your shoulder there.
Oh, right here?
Yeah.
Right, like this guy?
Yeah.
This guy right here?
Marvel Dice Throne.
How was it?
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I like Dice Throne. I know why you like the generic stuff, but me, I'm a huge...
Whoa, hold on. Roxley doesn't make generic stuff, alright? Let's be real. Their characters are actually really legit, really interesting. Cool. The Pyromancer, the Gunslinger, they're all... Yeah, they're generic right now. They're not IP.
So, Marvel Dice Throne is a combination of Roxley...
Roxley and who?
The Op.
Oh, okay.
But, so, yeah, I really, really enjoy this one. I had fun. It feels good because it does feel a little bit thematic. Like, he was playing Spider-Man, I was playing Thor. Thor was a bit overpowered, but Spider-Man's still able to take it out because he's got an ability. I don't know if we were playing it right. Something I had to look up. But, like, he would get an ability that he would get a token for playing something, and then he could immediately take another turn by spending that token.
Okay.
So I don't know if you can play the tokens right away. I don't know. The rule book is It's like this big.
No, I think you can. From what I remember, is any tokens that no. So
there's certain tokens like specifically
ones
on
you
the
get to play
spider
at the
one that
beginning
it
of your
has to
turn.
be for the next turn.
Right.
Like, but that one he just would gain it. He would get the ability.
Right.
And he had a core ability as well. So I had abilities to make it undefendable, but he had ability to be able to defend undefendable moves because he had invisibility. I'm like, that is pretty cool. I really enjoyed this game. I'm always been a big fan of Yahtzee. I loved Yahtzee growing up, and I love the rolling dice, trying to make sets and houses and stuff like that.
Yahtzee is better than most people give it credit for.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was fun. I'm glad. I knew I wanted to get a version of Dice Throne. However, it just didn't make sense for me, especially after they did 3 different Kickstarters for Dice Thrones. I wasn't about to pay that price because usually someone like me, when I go in hard, and I might as well just do the all in. That's perfect. I get the Marvel theme out of it. I still get the Yahtzee feel. I still get the Dice Throne feel. And it's contained right there.
And it's fully compatible, right?
Yeah, it's fully compatible. In fact, they have like bonus hero markers, which I think is for the story mode.
Okay.
Because I think that's the only way I use them. I don't know for the adventure.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because I'd be curious to play like Thor against a gunslinger. Like, I'll gladly bring mine over, and we'll just throw down.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Although, I think you need to talk about something very specific that you showed me about it.
Oh, yes.
That I am very glad I didn't buy this because of this.
My big thing about this game, and it's not even the game, it's just the choice about the box.
Yep.
As you can see how I got it standing right there just because I needed to put it on the shelf, and it looks nice right there.
Gorgeous. Great cover.
The front of the cover is portrait mode.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, nice. As you can see, it's lovely, right?
I'm one of those people that like to put my back of the box and the front of the box on the same side. This way, when you take it off, you could flip it and see everything on it.
Every time we've ever played, like, right as you're picking stuff up, you look at the bottom. Okay, all right. Put it correctly, and you just put the stuff away.
Because it's nice. It's like, hey, I recommend it to someone. They can look at it. They don't have to flip it upside down to look at the side. The problem with this is that the front of the cover is in portrait mode. The back is landscape. So I don't know what is proper.
Here's portrait. Here's the back. Sideways. And this is not a square box.
No.
You can't put that portrait.
Yes.
It is either 90 degrees to the left or 90 degrees to the right. There is no correct way.
It drives me insane. Oh, it bothers me like to no end because most boxes, this is what I like to do. I'll just grab my Marvel Champion here. Portrait mode.
Yeah.
In the back of the box, exactly the same. So I can pull it off my shelf, look at it, look at the back contents. Okay, easy to read. I don't have to
read it like a book, right?
Like this.
Right. Well, even if it was upside down, sure, it's slightly infuriating. Mandatory sideways.
Yeah. Oh man, that bothers me. But the game itself is excellent.
Yeah. Don't take the quality of the game into this. It's just we want to make this clear. That is something that we will gladly put up in a top 8 debate and go, no, bad.
Bad.
How dare you? Like you mess with people who have, OCD or like to this. So we tested out our friend Gamehead Geek. He didn't understand, and so I was like, okay, let me do this to you. And he still didn't care, but I was curious about this. I asked him, I was like, hand me your wallet. And he was like, what are you even asking? I was like, no, hand me your wallet. Just trust me. I'm not going to take anything. And then he handed me his wallet, and I took his ID card out, and I turned it upside down, and I put it back in. And I said, if this bothers you, then you understand.
It didn't bother him.
He didn't care, which completely mooted the point. But I think I cringed a little doing that, honestly. I was upset.
Yeah, we do not like this. It's frustrating, and it bothers me.
It's like,
but it's not,
look, a nice, lovely movie of Rocky. Oh, hold on, let me read the back. Like, no, it should never happen that way.
And so I was mentioning that to him. I'm like, when you go to a bookstore and you pull a book off the shelf, you look at the cover. Okay, that's cool. And then you flip it over to read the description. It's in the same form. Or you pull it out because it's one of the hardbacks that have it on the insides, on the leaf.
Right.
It's still all in the same mode.
You know what I want to do now? I want to make a book. I want to write another book. And I want to have it so the cover is normal. the back looks like the spine, and then the spine has the description. That's what I want to do now.
Chaos Agent.
And it's upside down also. Like, who would do that? Why?
So we're getting a bit on a rant here. So why don't we get into our topic?
It's so stressful. Anyway, so our topic this week. Comment down below if you agree or disagree with us, because that is a strong opinion.
Yeah.
And I bet if that doesn't bother you, you're the kind of person that thinks a hot dog is a sandwich.
Honestly, I'm not the only one. I've seen it in like most of the board game groups I'm in. There's a couple of people that have posted about it and comments about it. Why would you do this?
Yeah, nobody asked you to do this. Like, anyway. So our topic today is we wanted to kind of take a jab at the people who claim apps should never be in board games. I mean, like, let's be honest. Very few people say that now. Like
now, yeah.
I mean, I remember
I remember how, like,
5 years ago.
Like, they're like the what is it? The Simpsons meme, the old man yelling at a cloud.
Right. Exactly. Back in the day, like when Alchemists was probably one of the first ones. A lot of people.
Golem Arcana was a big thing.
Golem Arcana, yeah. There was some people who just said if a board game needs an app to function, then it's a video game at that point, and I don't want to play it.
And then when people were talking about it was like XCOM or something like that.
Yep,
that was
XCOM,
a big one.
Yep. And so Space Alert, yeah. So there's a lot of I get the resentment towards it, but there has been so many good implementations of apps being used in board games, and I don't remember if we talked about this before the episode or during the episode, but the amount of time it takes to build an app is extensive.
Yeah,
it costs a lot of money. It's not just something you could do on a whim. You're not going to do it for a 100 print card run.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it's just not going to happen. You have to put a lot of investment into making an app for it, to make it at least somewhat functional, right? And so we wanted to find games that we thought would benefit from having that digital add-on. Like, it doesn't mean that it's something that has to happen. In fact, some of these are kind of hard to do, but or even just to help ease up like a lot of the bookkeeping, the upkeep, to help maybe add more flavor or theme into the game.
A major one we've talked about before is Mansions of Madness. The second edition just made it so much easier to play.
Right.
Because before then it was one versus many because someone had to control the mansion.
Right. And I also wanted to like be very clear. I didn't pick any games that I thought would could easily be replaced for a fully digital version.
Yeah.
So like there's like some party games, right?
Yeah.
That it's like, oh well, they could just ask you trivia questions on your app and then you just answer it. No, that's not what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Like, which board games would enhance your experience if a digital component was added in? That's how I like to look at it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Does a lot for it. So.
Yep. Exactly. So there's not much else to say other than let's just jump right into it. Yep. We're going to explain our reasoning behind each one. We hope you agree. And again, if you don't or do, comment down below. We're curious to see what we want to add this to the discussion. Lumina said Gloomhaven, Nemesis, Tainted Grail, which is why a lot of board games just made it digital. Yep, exactly.
And Gloomhaven has a helper app that's really helpful too. Yep. So I didn't really go too much on the helper apps. Well, we'll talk about it when we get there.
Right, exactly. So, Coin of Doom, let's see who begins first. Our number 8, I'll be starting this off. So, this one's a little bit of a stretch, but hear me out. And I think this would be really neat. It's entirely optional, but I do feel it would at least help out the gameplay a bit. I feel like Ark Nova could have a really interesting...
I was thinking about this one. It didn't make my list.
So, here's how I'm thinking about it, and this is just how I envision it. Imagine if all 4 players had an iPad in front of them or a tablet that instead was their board.
Mm-hmm.
And when you build tiles onto the certain thing, you can say what animal you're putting into the regions. It can show it. It allows you to remember. It can show like little 3D details, do that. So basically your map is functioning the same way. And then on top of that, you could even do the actions and then upgrade them. And so you choose the option to upgrade.
Yeah, my only issue with that is it becomes too expensive.
It would, yeah, and I don't disagree. I think that would make it more expensive, but I just feel like those domino pieces or the building pieces, I don't know if how much I could justify that many pieces for this thing. I feel like that would be a cool little add-on if they happen to build a player board digitally that takes all of the pieces out of it. You just simply click, do what you got to do, and then everyone has their own in front of them. The board itself in the middle stays the same. All the cards work the same functionally.
Yeah.
It's just that little board. I think that would be a really cool change.
My big thing about that, and I do like that kind of idea, is because for me, it's the upkeep thing. So once you build a reptile house, hey, I can move this over here, and this has to be flipped back over to now nothing's in it,
Right.
because I move this creature to the reptile house or the aviary, because you're allowed to do that once you build those. You can move already birds or reptiles into their certain area. Okay, where did I have this originally? Which thing? So I wanted something like I'm thinking about buying like little packs of animals.
Yeah, the little like,
just so I can remember what's in where.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, see, I agree with that. I think that would be an easy solution. But and again, it wouldn't replace most of the game, and it would be entirely luxury. But I think that would be a cool little change.
Yeah, no, it sounds really cool. It's just like I said, it gets expensive because you have to have 4 tablets to play this game. Because it would suck to play it on something this size.
Well, it might not. I mean, if you could zoom in, it'd be fine, probably. You know.
Yeah, it'd still be annoying.
It would. I mean,
especially when say like.
I'm not saying it's a good solution. Okay.
Like my wife has like a 10-inch iPad.
Yeah.
I have a 10-inch Kindle. And then I also have a 7-inch Kindle, and then someone has to play with a phone.
Well, see, I'm the kind of person, like, if we had that, I would be the kind of person that would be like, all right, you with the phone, Chromecast it on my TV. You got the whole TV now. You got a 46-inch tablet right here, all right?
Yeah, but even then, Chromecast gets a little streamy and laggy. Sometimes.
Yeah, it does. That would be adding on to the hilarity. Yeah, that's why it's number 8. I just feel like that would be a cool little differentiation, just to solve that problem with the tokens and not knowing where everything was.
All right, so my number 8 is a game you don't like, and I don't really know how to integrate this into an app, but it might make things a little bit simpler.
Do you think it would make me like it better?
Yeah, maybe. I just don't know how it would work. And this is Wasteland Express Delivery Service.
Wouldn't make it any better. I guarantee it. And I'll tell you why. Post-apocalyptic should not have advanced technology like cell phones.
Yeah.
That would be unthematic and make it... Actually, no, it'd probably make a better game because it's so completely
Well, if
broken.
we go into the apocalypse, we still have things that could possibly work at this time. People are ingenious about it. It works for Fallout. So, it's possible.
It's not real.
But it works for that kind of thing, so it could work for Wasteland. And because both of those are post-apocalyptic, so...
Yeah, I mean, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know how it integrate it. Maybe when it comes to, like, the bandit fights
I don't think it'd fix the game.
the ambiance and stuff like that. Yeah, I know you don't like it. You're probably the minority in this group.
The ambiance would be cool. Like, I could add some fun little, like, extra flavor to it.
Yeah, and, like, you could put little story modes into it, so like when you're fighting certain bandits, certain things happen. I don't know how it would do, but I just think app integration would make this a little bit better. Okay. However you want to work it would help a lot with the upkeep too. Yeah. Because when you got that board where, okay, he sold the water here, so now it's lessened because there's not a lot of water over here, and so it would make that upkeep a lot easier for like the ammo, the water resources, and stuff like that, instead of having to follow that stupid board. Be like, okay, he sold water here, all right, fixes the water. Okay. So now water doesn't sell for as much. All right, now we know. Upkeep right there would help a lot too. Because it's at its best, it's a pick up and deliver. Right. So when it keeps the economics for you instead of you having to make sure everything's proper on the board, that's another thing that could be helpful.
Okay. All right. That one, yeah, I won't argue that much. I mean, it needs all the help it can get. I mean, I hate to say it. I'm sorry. That game is trash. All right. Number 7. Which is a shame because I like Pandasaurus a lot.
I like that game. I don't know what your problem is.
It's not fun at all.
Really, it was fun for everybody else who's played it, except for you. That's the second game.
So miserable. No, that's not even close to second. I've had a lot more than that.
No. But I'm saying that's the second game where the entire game group likes the game, and you're the only one
that
dislikes
I'm sure there's more of those.
Well, yeah, but I'm just thinking like that one and Architects of the West Kingdom.
That's the two most obvious. That's the second one we brought up today during this episode.
Yep.
All right, our next one. You'll be starting us off. Number 7.
All right, number 7 here. Ooh, I will go with this one. I don't know how they would fix this game, and it's fine as it is. But I think it would help with like the cleanup and give you more of the ambiance thing. And then it's a plug and play game as is. We've seen how Chronicles of Crimes work with app integration. Yep. And this one for me is Time Stories.
Okay.
So I think a lot of it can do, again, with the sound and some of the puzzles that you have to deal with. It actually would be good about like, okay, we've already got this item, we've got this item, we could take it over here. It just stores all that for you instead of you trying to remember everything. And you sometimes collect the cards, but it'd be nice to have it in there. And then it could, instead of us having to read certain things that come up, it can have it explain it to us, like in a narrator voice, or when that one guy who's controlling it, if you fail, the app is yelling at you for it.
You know, it'd be fun. Pair of headphones. Give that to the one person who's talking to somebody.
Actually, that would not be bad either.
They can whisper to him.
Well, it's kind of like for me, it's like Chronicles Crime, where they had it where you had like the goggles and you're the only one being able to see it. It would work for that as well, and I think, especially how Time Stories has really dropped off. Yeah. Especially with like the newer ones and stuff like that. If you make a second edition and add the app integration to it, it might help it. In the long run, maybe fix some of the stories from what I've heard. So, but honestly, that one needs a lot of the help it can get. Like the first few scenarios that I've played, I've only played the first 3. They're fine. I really like the second one.
Those first 3 are fantastic.
I like the first one. It was okay. The second one is what really got me. Marcy's Case is the one that really got me into it, and I was enjoying Prophecy of the Dragons, but. That game group fell apart, so it hasn't been able to been picked up again. I do have like not all the expansions, but some of the other expansions over there that I want to get played. Yep. But yeah, I think an app integration for Time Stories would help it a lot.
That's a good pick. Very good. My number 7 is a game that is already really thematic, and you know, it's kind of a longer game. I like what it does a lot. I just feel like app integration would add on. It would clean up a little bit of the upkeep, not too much, but it would really bring out the theme of the game, and that's Firefly, the board game.
And it would help the cleanup too.
It would help it would help just everything, right? I mean, it would help the cleanup. And the biggest thing is that when you're flying, instead of drawing a deck of cards, when you're either moseying along or flying in like the outer area, I forget what it's called. Yeah. And you're worried about Reavers, that could have all sorts of crazy random events. They can have other things that add on. I mean, it's a really good example with Return to Dark Towers app. If they implemented some of that into Firefly, that would be one of the most thematic games, hands down.
Yeah, hands down.
It would be fun. It would add to the flavor of it. People who love the show and stuff, they would be like all giddy because they hear I know that soundbite. I know exactly where that's from. That's when Mal shot the guy and didn't care. It's like, yeah, that was great. That would add so much fun flavor to it. I don't think there's much else to say other than the fact that for theme alone, app would be awesome. Yeah. Firefly, the board game.
Don't disagree with you.
All right, number 6. I'll be starting us off. Now this one honestly kind of needs an app, but it's a game that, this is why it's my number 6, is because it's a game that most people don't talk about or even play anymore. It was an amazing idea at the time. It didn't quite work, and I feel that part of it was because of how there wasn't an app, actually. Like, the game itself could be very easy to set up and work, but an app would make everything so much smoother just for setup alone. Okay. That's 504 from Freedom and Freeze. Yeah. So the way that they handle the rule book is really simple. They have kind of like this multi-part binder book. Mm-hmm. It has a spiral bound on it, and you pick 3 random cards from the numbers 1 through 9, and then you go to that page for each one. So let's say the number is 375. Okay, I'm going to go, the first section of the rule book, which is setup and general rules, will be page 3. The next one, the bulk of the rules, will be page 7, and then the last one, which is end game, winning conditions, stuff like that, that would be number 5. And they always have different functions. It has a different core mechanism. It can have pick up and deliver. It could have take that. It could have bidding. It could have all these things. And I think that if you just had an app that went and, spun it all like a roulette and told you how to set up and described how the game would work with that scenario, that would solve the problem.
Yeah.
That's just me. I mean, because a lot of that problem, and so that concept is amazing, right? I mean, like having 504 games, and like I love that concept of a thing, and it did work. I don't want to say it didn't work because it did. Absolutely, totally, 100%, it did work. Some games were better than others, but there was never one that was amazing. But I feel like the fact that you had to reread and learn the rules every single time, that was what made it tough. That's what made it so I didn't want to play it all that often. I played it maybe a couple times. And then I was like, man, like, I like to read my rule books early. I like to have everything set up. I like to know what I'm getting into. Yeah. So that way when I'm teaching people, they understand it. Part of that game would be, nope, all right, everybody, we're going to go into this blind. Let's do this. Let me read like a few pages of rules, and then we'll figure out how to play as we go on and might be wrong. That was the big problem with me. So I think an app would easily fix that. Just even during setup alone, that's all it would need.
All right, moving on to my next game. I don't know. I can't really make an opinion on this because I never played 504.
I mean, and nor should you, honestly. Like, I don't think you would like it.
Probably not.
No,
I mean, Freeze has not been hitting for me.
The games were fine. Like, they weren't bad games. Like, you play, like, okay, this is decent. It's like a 6 or 7. It's not bad. But it's just, but that concept is fantastic. It's amazing. Yeah. And the fact that he got it to work is what makes 504 worthy of owning it first. But then I never played it, and it just, I didn't want to read rules every single time I played it. That was one of the big things that we argue. Like, if you have to reread the rule book to play a game, then that's so much extra effort. That's not worth it. It's one thing
if it's been like a few years, but every time, if you keep trying to play it and you have to read the rule every time.
You legitimately have to do that every time just because.
Yeah. All right, moving on to my next one. I don't know if an app would fix this game. I played it. I did enjoy it. I just don't know how it would integrate properly. Maybe just for like some voice acting and stuff like that to give it more thematic. And this is already a game that's reskinned off another game. And it goes from Eldritch Horror to Marvel. And this one's X-Men Mutant Insurrection.
Okay.
We both did play it. It's over. You don't mind that pile over there. I got to figure out how I'm going to do this shelf real quick. So that's why there's a lot of games that are just sitting there for now. But that one is it's an Elder Sign reprint in a sense, fully co-op again. Does some interesting things, but then it's also just kind of like especially since I played it after playing X-Men United, and that one just hits so much better than that one, or the Elder Sign copycat is. The app integration might make it better, like when it comes to like the threat levels that go up, or this way you can hear like voice acting for like Magneto, or when you go and fight Magneto, maybe he's taunting you. Make it a little bit more thematic, because all it's down to is you're just doing some dice rolls, but everything thematic wise would make it better for you. And then instead of having to like, okay, it's at this level, and especially since that level, it's like on a weird track that kind of like a lightning bolt, and it's just like, why can't it be a straight line? If it's in red, yellow, or whatever, then I can read a scenario that's coming up. The app integration would make that so much better for that, because it's like, okay, we're at this level now. This is what's popping off. But all in all, it might make the game better. It might not. But it could be helpful for this one, because I played it the one time. It's on my sell pile.
Yeah. Yeah, it's unfortunate, too, because I am a legitimate Elder Sign fan. Mm-hmm. I like Elder Sign a lot. And so when you said, oh, this is the Marvel version, I'm like, oh, cool. I'll play a Marvel game. Like, if it's Elder Sign remake, I like Elder Sign a lot. And man, I'll be honest, I did not have that much fun playing it.
And my thing about it is like, if I want that Yahtzee Elder Sign co-op aspect, I'll play Elder Sign. I have Elder Sign. If I want to play X-Men, I'll play X-Men United. So it was in that bit of a niche that just
exactly.
If there's 2 other games, depending on what I want to fill, that would make it do it better.
Yep, exactly. No, I don't disagree. All right, our number 5. I'll be starting us off. I think this goes without saying. I'd be surprised if this isn't on your list later. Betrayal at House on the Hill. I'll be honest.
Honestly, that's my number 5.
Yeah, Betrayal at House on the Hill. It's just having you and I have both played Betrayal Legacy.
Uh-huh.
We like Betrayal at House on the Hill.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
It's a fun game. I mean, there's honestly no reason you can't have an app for that.
Yeah, exactly.
Have it not random the haunts, but you can change up the haunts.
Mm-hmm.
You can change the events. You can have it tell you like what floors come out instead of it just being random.
Yeah.
You can have it a little more concise. You can aim it towards a certain theme if you wanted.
Exactly.
You can aim it towards a certain difficulty. You could even specify, hey, look, I want to do fully cooperative this scenario. I want to do like 1v all, or I want to have a random trader. Like you could set all that stuff beforehand, and it will then decide
how it's going to go,
when it's going to happen.
And then you could still like keep the card pulls and stuff like that. So like, oh, I'm going to go into this room and it gives me an omen. Okay, this is the omen I pulled. You plug it into the system.
Exactly.
Okay, here we're doing it. You just make your dice roll. It asks if you pass or fail.
Yep.
Boom, click pass. Okay, nothing's no haunt for this
Easy
one.
peasy.
Yeah, it could do so much. And then the big thing about it too is if you're going to be 1v all or secret trader or something like that, and then the trader tone becomes the
just read off the phone.
Yeah.
And then all you need is just a code. It's like, all right, well, if your friends have the app, then tell them put in this code. It'll tell you what end you're the scenario.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you choose
and that one part, you just need your phone out.
And then
whereas,
that way,
like, the person's got the big.
If it's 1v all, then all don't have to look over one person's shoulder to read the book.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
all just read it yourself.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
You could even have voice acting and sound effects and ambiance. I'm telling you, it should happen.
This was actually one of the first games that went in my mind for it.
Yeah, same here.
It was like, oh yeah, my number 5. Oh, we're lucky both of us had this for our number 5. It's just
absolutely.
It is on my list.
Yeah.
Because this one of all games could be really useful.
Very much good.
Actually, I think it would have worked too for Betrayal Legacy because I would love to see a Legacy game use app integration just for the heck of it.
Nice and easy.
I didn't put one of them on my list, but I think it would be cool.
Yeah, definitely. Cool deal. All right, and I didn't put a Legacy on mine either. So, all right, let's go to number 4. That was an easy one.
And
I'll start us off again. My number 4 is, I mean, it's a little cheap, but I did pick one specific. Technically, it could be any roll and write, but I picked specifically Trek 12, and that's because Trek 12 has the campaign mode in it.
Oh, that's true.
So it does lead to that extra, like, hey, you can add ambiance, of course, but really, any roll and write. A dry erase board, you simply have the board in front of you. Boom, boom. You don't have to worry about handwriting. You don't have to worry about consumability. All you need is just the components. I mean, I guess that's, like, say a game like Quicks, for example. Well, then you'd just be selling a pile of dice. So, I mean, you're not really, like, I get that. But something like Trek 12 has has one custom of the 2 dice. One is 0 through 5. Sure, someone can cheat and do that. But that's not a big deal. But you can add on expansion packs and then add on, instead of pads of paper, which, I mean, Pandasaurus doesn't exactly sell it expensive anyway. It's like $20 for the full expansion.
It wasn't that. No, I haven't played
there's a campaign mode. There's a solo mode. There is a single, just like a one-off mode. So there's 3 different modes right there. You could tell the campaign. You could do that. You can add in bonus events that might happen. That would be fun. Yeah. Like that's a really simple upgrade. I mean, I do think that it could work with most roll and writes, but that is a good example of the kind of roll and write I'd want to have an app for.
Sounds
good.
12. So the next one on my list, I just remembered now.
Right there.
Does have an app. I don't know if it's still in use or something like that, but I think they could have done it better. The only good thing about this app is who they got to do the voicing on it, and that was Eric Summerer.
Yep.
For
One
me,
Night.
No, this is Dead of Winter.
Oh.
But I think Dead of Winter could do so much more with the app. This one just read the crossword cards, which is fine. Those are
that's all you need.
Honestly, I think they should still keep that in the thing because everybody forgets to do the crossroad cards in the game.
Yeah, they do.
And so this would make things easier. It's like, okay, we got to draw another crossroad card. This is what's going on. And then you could also use it for like the searches. And instead of like that one bad die, it just an algorithm sets it up for you instead. Right. So it's still random, but it's in the app integration, and then the ambiance. You can hear like the wind blowing because you're in the winter, and you're doing something, so you're making noise, so it makes noise for you in the game. I think it just could do so much more for Dead of Winter and just give new legs to this game because it's tapered off for me. I believe it's tapered off for you.
I have not played it in a few years.
Yeah, same with me. And I have every expansion except for the Warring Colonies because this is already a long game.
I even have that.
I don't want that one.
Well, I got it because it adds in more content from either side.
The base game.
Yeah, you don't need it. Yeah, you don't have to play the warring part of it. You could just play it.
Part of me is like
with extra content.
And also at that point it was starting to waver off, so it was just no, I'm good. But the app integration for this game to make it better, to make the cleanup even easier. So like, oh, you're searching. Okay, you're searching. You do this. This is what I have. Okay, you found a shotgun. You're in the police station. You found a shotgun. Okay, cool. Yeah. That makes it simple. I don't want to shoot the shotgun because I don't want things to blow up and go off. But I think this one would work. So, Dead of Winter.
Cool. Not a bad one. All right, number 3, right?
Yep, I believe so.
Number 3. You're starting us off.
All right, so I'm going to have a bit of a run on Fantasy Flight games. This is going to be my second of the thirds. And it's a pickup.
I have 0 Fantasy Flight.
This is a one that you... because they've shown that they can do app integration really well. This one is my pick up and deliver choice, and this is Star Wars Outer Rim. I think it just, especially, yeah, I just think like the cleanup phase, the cards that are like, hey, this is going on, you use the app instead, and then the ambiance of Star Wars. So you hear like, characters are getting into
home scream,
the Wilhelm scream, or like characters getting into a fight. Like my wife and a mutual friend of mine, they were
getting a fight over this game. Wow.
Well, no, but they fought in the game because my wife was playing the droid and she needed to steal his droid to put on her crew. She needed an all droid crew. So when you go over there, it's like, okay, and then it puts the sound effects of the ships fighting and the, the lasers battle. It's like, okay, this is what's going on here. And then, like, if you're a faction that's coming into your space, it has this going on. It just, the app integration can do so much for this game. And it's funny because I picked this one. I was also thinking of Star Wars Rebellion. But because of a lot of the hidden factors that Star Wars Rebellion needs to be in place, like the Rebel base needs to be hidden, so it just wouldn't work as well for Star Wars unless for Rebellion over Star Wars Outer Rim, because Outer Rim it's a lot of card stuff that you don't need to worry about. Just let the app decide what popped up, who this person is, especially when you're talking about like putting out all those little pieces, the little different areas to see which one's going to pop up, because you got to find someone specifically, and so the app could take care of all that.
Okay. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. That makes sense.
So for me, my number 3 is Star Wars Outer Rim.
So my number 3 is very much self-serving, but I have 2 very 1.5 very legitimate reasons why I think app integration would be fun. That's Carcassonne. Now, hear me out on this, because you're giving that look like, huh? Why would Carcassonne be? It's for 2 reasons. One, I think it'd be amazing to see stuff in AR mode. Like as you're looking at it, you see like the buildings pop up off of it. It again, totally unnecessary. That's the half. Yeah. The other one though is I now have pretty much every expansion that Carcassonne ever made. So there is like random vineyards and like buildings that are like cloisters but not cloisters. They're like cultists or whatever. Yeah. You have like these lakes that have ferries between the two.
Okay.
And what I would like is a way to scan the tile and it tells you all of the features and what they're used for, and things that you can choose to do and why. So it'd be more of a reference app than anything. It'd be nice and simple, but then you could just simply scan it, and I think it could utilize the camera part of it.
The work for that app integration would be
and again, it wouldn't be for the functionality of the gameplay. It would just be simply scan the tile. It'll say, "Oh, there's a vineyard. Potentially, you can get points this way," or there's a trade goods get points.
I get what you're saying, but just the fact that they have to app integrate each specific tile, then you have to make sure.
Well, I mean, like technically, right? Yeah. Really, all you have to do is every feature.
Yeah.
And as long as it can detect it, it would be a pain. And I'm not going to claim that I know enough about app building that I could justify that I know what I'm talking about. I'm just saying I think that would be an extra little bonus to help out with the reference and stuff. Because I have downloaded like there's some users on Board Game Geek that do an amazing job of creating the ultimate like Carcassonne rulebook.
Yeah.
That's the compendium of everything, and it's like 90 pages long or whatever. That explains every rule, all the functions, variants, whatever you need to know of every expansion, and it covers it in perfect detail. But I don't want to have to read a book that big or even print one out. I don't like doing stuff like that, and I don't want to find a specific rule book for, like, I've avoided playing with certain expansions because I don't remember what certain parts do.
Okay.
And I feel an app would fix that.
Yeah, it would. But yeah, just the work involved.
It would be a pain in the butt, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But there you go. Is that our number threes?
That's our number threes.
Number two.
Number twos.
There we go.
Me?
Yeah, be you.
All right. My number two is the last of the Fantasy Flight games. And this one is just, it was simple enough to put on here because they've already shown that they can do app integration and make it work. Mm-hmm. One of my favorite games, and I think it would make it better for you for this app integration, probably would help shorten the game for one, and that is Eldritch Horror. Beginning app integration for like the Mythos phase.
Maybe.
Maybe make the dice checks a little easier instead of just rolling dice. You could do like certain puzzles or aspects of it. They shown what you could do in Mansions of Madness. Mm-hmm. Going into Eldritch Horror for this, plus again, add the ambiance. That's the one big thing I love about Mansions of Madness is like you feel it when you have like these things happening to you, mm-hmm. crowds chasing you, or the puzzle or the house exploding and stuff like that. So I prefer Eldritch Horror over Arkham Horror. I like the overreaching world aspect of it, especially when you get into like the expansions that adds the pyramid thing. You don't need those sideboards for those expansions. Instead, you can use the app to integrate that as well. So for like the going into the dream world, you use the app to do all that stuff. Going into the pyramids, you use the app for all that stuff. Or the Antarctic. So that's going to help things there. Maybe make things, instead of a lot of like skill checks with dice, integrate it with certain things in the app, like puzzle aspects, or okay, I need this skill check to be wisdom or something like that. Okay, this is my dice. Okay, well, you don't do that. That sort of stuff. Kind of like what they're doing in Mansions of Madness. I think it would make the game move a lot quicker. You kind of make it scenario-based and campaign style. So, okay, you're fighting this Elder God now. Okay, that was the easy mode. You move on to this Elder God and this Elder God. You have these expansions. You can add them in. The sideboards. This is one of the first games that I thought of because the app integration would streamline this game so much more than it already is and take something that could take 3 to 4 hours, maybe make it a 2-hour game instead.
Right. Okay. Only 2 hours. No. Well, I mean, it might fix it for me. I don't know. But I will tell you one thing I do agree with you with.
What's that?
My number 2 is Time Stories. I mean, 100%. No, I agree with you. Time Stories needs to have an app. It really does.
It does.
Again, they could have made expansions easier. Could have added more flavor. Added that. Add a way to save what you have between the games.
That would be nice too.
There could even be a way where you could take a picture of the board state and save your spot. That's all you would need. Mm-hmm. Even just something that's like, all right, hey, I have to stop mid game. Unfortunately, we have X number of time left, and this is what we've seen.
Yeah.
Well, we've done that. Last time we played this, which was back in, I think, 2019.
Probably, yeah.
Was the last time I played it. We took a photo of our board state. It's completely moot point now.
Because you don't have that photo anymore?
No, we have the photo, but we're not going to remember anything on that scenario. We're on the last expansion, the Versailles one, that we just don't remember anything about it. We just remember how frustrating it was. That's what we remember. So it's just one of those things where Time Stories would have hugely benefited from an app.
Yeah.
And it would have added more flavor to it. I mean, of course, like I'm picking at straws here because I do think like, better expansion writing would be better. Mm-hmm. But an app would be really great and it's the future setting. So, of course, an app would be better.
That's another reason why I'm hesitant to get into Time Stories. Mm-hmm. Back into it again, because I heard it just starts to taper off after each expansion.
No, there were some good ones. It does waves.
Okay.
but it doesn't. So far, it's not ending with a bang for me.
Okay.
I don't know if it will, but
It's been what 2-3 years now.
something like that. Yeah,
It's
I've been
2022.
playing.
It's 2019.
I have started playing it 2015 when it came out. That's when we started the campaigns.
Mm-hmm.
I think they stopped
And they were
printing.
releasing like expansions like every.
Their goal was one per quarter. Originally,
And there's what 10, 7?
maybe.
Yeah, something like
Maybe
that.
there's one per year now.
I'll probably have to, if I
Maybe.
do get back into it, I might have to borrow
Yeah,
your
I'll lend it.
expansions
I'll lend it to you. That's fine.
because I don't want to look for them because they might be
Yeah,
out of
nah,
pricey.
I don't blame you. But yeah, Time Stories, hands down, that would be my favorite. All right, our last one. You'll be starting us off.
All right, so my last one is kind of a cheaty thing, but this is more because he already does a lot of the other stuff, so app integration would be difficult for him. But for me, I picked Above and Below or Near and Far. You could even put Sleeping Gods into this. The storybook aspect of what he does, put it into an app, have someone else read it too, because some people are not strong readers.
By he means Ryan Lockett.
Yeah, by he I mean Ryan Lockett. He already does everything else.
Yep.
And the thing is, like with the story modes and stuff like that, I play with friends who are dyslexic. They have a hard time playing. When you have this kind of app integration where someone's reading it to you and you just make your decisions and then you get your reward by basing your dice checks on it, then it makes things so much easier for people. And so I just went with like the Ryan Lockett games. I picked for me Above and Below because I haven't played Near and Far, so I can't make a decision on that. And I enjoy Above and Below a lot. So for me, that purpose of this game is it just makes the storybook part of it so much better and integrated, makes it feel like you're playing a story. You have someone narrating it to you. Okay, here's my choice. And so this was like the first one I thought about was Eldritch Horror, Star Wars Outer Rim, because I was looking at my shelf over here and they're next to each other. And then I just kind of glanced around. I'm like, there's my number one. That hands down, there's my number one, because it would make it so much easier and more welcoming to gamers who have disabilities like that when it comes to dyslexia or just people who have trouble reading for whatever reason. Have someone else read it to you through the app.
I thought about like stuff like Wonder Book would be the same general idea. No, I think that's a great pick. I couldn't pinpoint one specific, but I think that's a great example.
Yeah, and so for me, it's just like everybody's loving Sleeping Gods right now. Again, I haven't played it, so I can't really say how that is. Everybody's playing, or everybody's playing like Now and Later, I think is what it is. Or
no, now or later is the candy.
Oh yeah.
Now or never.
Now or never, and Near and Far, and Above and Below, all storybook integrated games. Then let the story be told there. And I mean, you could also go in Gloomhaven for that aspect of it, for the narration, but I just think it works with the Ryan Lockett games because that's what he's going for. He's Above and Below was the test of it. Near and Far, from what I heard, is like the fully embracing of the story. And Now or Never is another one that's really big on the story. So I think just helping with that app integration also is more welcoming to people who struggle, or if they're Above and Below is not like a very adult-ish, so nothing really scary. So if
Above and Below hardly has story too. Like that's I mean, like that was one of the weakest parts.
Well, the thing is that with the story with that one, it's just it's a selection. So if you go below, you have to do skill checks in a sense based on your workers, and that's why I picked it, because just have the app do it, because there's so many stories in there, but it just depended upon if you're going on the bottom part of it. So this is like a hybrid Euro Ameritrash game before that was really a thing, and then he took it to the next level with Now and Never, or Near and Far. So, and then let's not even get to Sleeping Gods.
No.
But so yeah, for me, Above and Below, Near and Far, Sleeping Gods, whatever you want, storybook wise, using for the app integration to make it more welcoming to other people, that's what I would do.
Oh, cool. All right, perfect. And and one just came to my head that I thought would be a good one with an app integration, Cantaloupe, that point and click style game. And only just because the little red filament thing that goes over it that reveals the answer, we can see because we're colorblind. Yeah. And so it doesn't camouflage it, unfortunately.
Very well for us,
yeah. So I had to actively avoid it. Yeah. Anyway, but that wasn't my number one. My number one, like, at first we were like, let's talk about app integrated games and what would be good. and then you immediately said, "You know what game you would add on?" And that's hands down my number one. I got so excited because you're absolutely 100% right on that. Nightmare needs an app. Nightmare is one of the funnest games. It's not good. It's fun. And that's a big difference. It was made
when games were supposed to be fun.
It was made when games were supposed to be fun. The whole idea of Nightmare, what set it apart from most games, is that there is a VHS tape on it. Mm-hmm. And you put that VHS tape in your VCR.
You can still play it because it's on YouTube.
Yeah, now it's on YouTube, but they made a DVD version of it. Mm-hmm. And now they just did a Kickstarter for a reprint, which they did it where they were going to upload the video digitally. Don't. Make it an app. Have those events happen randomly. Add some more ridiculous stuff. Let it be a different scenario each time. Even just to make the videos different, right?
Yeah.
Not even just to have them at random times, so that way you don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Have him really berate you for calling him, "Yes, my gatekeeper." Even have voice detection, that would be hilarious. It's "Yes, sir." You didn't say gatekeeper. "Yes, my gatekeeper." And then punish them for doing it. Just ridiculous, dumb stuff. I think that would just be an absolute riot to play. It's already hilarious to play. That would just ramp it to 11. That would set it up where I think hobby gamers now would start talking about it again. Yeah. And they would be like, okay, look, this game isn't good. But, all the reviewers would say, but I can't say I didn't have fun playing it.
Who's to say you can't make it good?
Right.
Just by working on the scenarios with the app, too. So,
man, restoration games with that, can you imagine?
That would be great.
Yeah, I may or may not have brought that up with Rob Davio. I don't remember. But I know I told him Astron, but yeah. Oh, man. I seethe thinking of how amazing Nightmare would be. Oh, man. I one day, please, app developers, just do me a solid. I'll give you $5-10 at least. It'd be totally worth it. Please make me a Nightmare app.
Well, I'm glad we left that for last because I knew it was going to be on your list. I was just where is it? Where
hands
is it?
down, number one. It's solid.
All right, cool. That was an interesting list. Like I said, for me, I was I don't know how it would work, but it would help something that needs to help.
Yeah. Absolutely. So we want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you ever want to join us on one of our live chats, like our friend Illuminous or anybody else who joins us, we normally tend to film on most Tuesdays on twitch.tv/everydayboardgames. Times do vary.
Roughly, we try to get started about 7 o'clock. That tends to be on average. Yeah. So it'd be 9 Eastern.
Yep.
You can also find all video re-uploads on YouTube at Everyday Board Games 2020. And if you like what we do there are 3 things you can do to help us grow on the platform. Subscribe if you're not, like the video, and comment down below and tell us your thoughts on the subject, especially this one. As well as all audio versions can be found on most podcast platforms under Everyday Board Games Podcast. This includes Spotify, Google, Amazon Music, and Podbean. And remember, a link to everything is down below.
If you ever want to contact us directly, say hi, give us an idea for future episodes, or enter in a possible future contest for free giveaways, email us at everydayboardgames2020@gmail.com.
You can also get in contact with us on our official Twitter account at EBG Podcast.
So we want to thank you so much for tuning in. This was a fun little topic. How could our podcast be better? App integrate? No, I'm just kidding. But thank you so much for tuning in. This has been Everyday Board Games with your hosts, Daniel.
And Daniel.
And I totally did that wrong. And thank you for tuning in.
And remember, every day is a good day for board gaming.